My wife Veronica faked her death and took on her sister's identity. While I pretended not to know, I helped her resign from her position as the company's general manager and went to the police department to have her identity officially cancelled. In my previous life, my sister-in-law died in a car accident. My wife chose to live as her sister, simply because she couldn't bear to see her brother-in-law become a widower. I confronted Veronica and asked why she was impersonating her sister, but she flat out denied everything. Brother-in-law, I know losing my sister hurts you deeply, but you can't just project your grief onto me and pretend I'm her. After that, Veronica began spreading rumors that I had lost my mind, saying I was trying to seduce my sister-in-law just after my wife's death. Overnight, I became the target of brutal cyberbullying. In the end, a deranged netizen stabbed me to death in a dark alley. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day Veronica was preparing to assume her sister's identity. Chapter 1. At this moment, my wife Veronica stood beside me, red-eyed, trying to comfort me. Brother-in-law, I'm so sorry. I never thought Gabriella would. As Gabriella's lifeless body was wheeled in, I fought back my sorrow and forced myself to pretend this was my wife. Gabriella's face was deathly pale, clearly devoid of life. She and Veronica were identical twins. No one noticed Veronica had secretly switched places with her. I wiped away my tears and said with forced calm, "Let's arrange the cremation. Gabriella deserves to leave with dignity." Veronica eagerly agreed. She was even more anxious than I was. As she spoke, she reached to push the body toward the cremation room. At that moment, the crescent-shaped birthmark on her left arm became visible. It was this very mark that exposed her in my previous life, but this time, I pretended not to see it. In the previous life, Veronica and Gabriella had traveled out of town to inspect a new project. Gabriella died in a car crash on the way back. To avoid leaving her brother-in-law, Santiago, all alone, Veronica made the reckless choice to impersonate her sister and continue living as her. To outsiders, she was flawless in mimicking Gabriella, but I was her husband. We had spent years together. How could I not recognize my own wife? I desperately questioned her, asking why she would do such a thing, why she would abandon our son and me. Veronica remained expressionless and coldly pushed me away. Brother-in-law, I know you miss my sister, but your grief doesn't give you the right to mistake me for her. Santiago then jumped in and cursed me out. You lunatic. Your wife just died and you're already trying to get with mine. Shameless. I couldn't believe what I was hearing and kept demanding the truth. In response, the two of them shoved me to the ground. My son, Oliver, sobbed and asked her, "Mommy, why don't you want me and Daddy anymore?" Veronica claimed I had coached Oliver to say that. Without hesitation, she locked him in the basement for 3 days and nights. He starved to death. My mother-in-law screamed at me, "You jinx, you cursed my daughter to death." Veronica went even further, publicly accusing me of having improper intentions toward my sister-in-law. The scandal went viral online, and I was buried in a wave of relentless cyberbullying. In the end, on a freezing winter day, I was stabbed to death in a narrow alley by a crazed internet user. Thinking of all this, rage nearly consumed me. I wanted nothing more than to destroy this whole family of monsters. Watching Veronica's eager attempt to cremate Gabriella's body, I sneered inwardly. If you're so desperate to live a happy life with Santiago, fine, I'll grant your wish. You can live as Gabriella for the rest of your life. Chapter 2. Veronica acted swiftly. Within half a day, she had completed all the arrangements for the cremation. She even held a memorial service, which was attended by many colleagues and business associates. Looking at Veronica's funeral portrait, everyone couldn't help but sigh at the fragility of life. I looked haggard, with dark circles under my eyes. The painful memories from my past life made me appear exactly like a grieving widower. Veronica, holding onto Santiago's arm, spoke to me in a gentle voice. "Brother-in-law, Santiago hasn't been feeling well lately. The doctor said he needs rest, so he won't be staying for the vigil." She carefully helped Santiago sit down, her eyes full of concern. I watched the scene coldly, and just then, Santiago spoke up. "Brother-in-law, it's not easy for a man to raise a child alone. Gabriella can help you, but surely not for free, right?" There was a glint of greed in his eyes. It was clear he was fishing for money. Veronica chimed in. "Brother-in-law, I remember you have a gold watch. Why not give it to Santiago? It would look good on him." I suddenly looked up and stared at her. That watch was a keepsake from my father, and she dared to ask for it. Veronica, however, looked completely justified. "Oh right, didn't my sister have an investment portfolio? She once said she wanted me to help manage it. Give me the login and password." I paused for a moment, then suddenly covered my face and burst into tears. "What investment? It's long gone. We lost everything. Even my personal savings were wiped out. I can barely afford formula for my son right now." Veronica panicked. "That's impossible. She told me there were 2 million in investments." I sneered. "She only told you that to comfort you. She didn't want you looking down on her. So she said she was making money." "Gabriella, your sister's gone. As her little sister, How can you just abandon your nephew? If you won't help us, fine, but now you're asking for money. Are you trying to drive us to death? None of this was true, of course, but at that moment, Veronica couldn't refute a single word. Our colleagues around us looked at me with sympathy. Veronica's expression turned sour. No, there must be an investment, she told me herself. I gave her a cold smile and walked toward Veronica's office. She only left behind a few things. I'll destroy them right in front of you, so you'll stop obsessing over them. I opened the safe and pulled out Veronica's IDs, contracts, and personal belongings. Then I tore them up on the spot and threw them into the trash. Veronica instinctively tried to stop me, but forced herself to hold back. When I tore apart her most cherished diary, she finally couldn't take it anymore. Brother-in-law, those were my sister's life's work. How could you do this? Choking back emotion, I replied. She's gone. What's the point of keeping any of this? All you people do is ask me for money and things. But tell me, what exactly did Veronica leave me? I said it with deep emotion, and the people around us sighed with pity. Veronica's face was ashen. She could only watch helplessly as I destroyed everything that mattered to her. Back home, my son Oliver looked up at me with innocent eyes. Daddy, why does mommy want me to call her auntie now? Isn't she mommy? Chapter 3. My heart felt like it was being torn apart. Even my young son could recognize her as his mother. Yet Veronica was heartless enough to deny it. She gave up her own child, just to be with another man. I held Oliver tightly in my arms, fighting back my tears. Sweetheart, mommy is gone. That's your auntie now. That same afternoon, I went straight to the city's public security bureau with the death certificate and completed the process to cancel Veronica's identity. At the same time, I contacted the company's CEO and had her resignation submitted. The CEO sighed. I've heard about what happened to Veronica. Such a shame. If there's anything you need as her family, just let me know. I had already made up my mind. I'd like to transfer to the A-City branch. He looked a little surprised. The competition in a city is intense, and the environment's unfamiliar. Are you sure? That was exactly what I wanted. I nodded firmly. Everything went smoothly. Veronica's identity was officially cancelled, and the company paid out a generous accidental death insurance compensation. When I got home, my mother-in-law was sitting in the living room scrolling through her phone. The moment she saw me walk in, she began her usual mocking. Well, look who's back, our financial genius. Your wife just died and you still have the nerve to run around. My daughter must have been blind to marry someone like you. Oliver was in the kitchen doing dishes. His small hands were red from the freezing water. My heart ached. I rushed over and scooped him into my arms. He's only 5. How could you let him do the dishes? What kind of grandmother are you? She sneered. Who do you think you are? Yelling in my house. You and your son are freeloading here, eating and living for free, and you still think you're royalty. I scoffed. If we bother you that much, then we'll leave. That way we won't be an eyesore. I turned to leave with my son, but she rushed over to block the doorway. Don't even think about it. Santiago's health isn't good lately. He needs supplements. You've lived here rent-free for years. Time to repay some of that favor. Santiago lounged on the sofa, looking frail as he stared at me. That's right, brother-in-law. I wouldn't have made it without Gabriella taking care of me. Veronica tucked the blanket around him lovingly and said in a commanding tone, Brother-in-law, Mom's getting old, and Santiago's sick. Please stop making trouble. I let out a bitter laugh inside. Back then, I passed out at the office from overwork, not even a phone call from her. Oliver had a high fever and was hospitalized. She never visited once. My mother-in-law always looked down on us, treating me and my son with disdain. Veronica poured all her energy into her career and ignored our family completely. And now they expected me to stay and take care of them. Grinding my teeth, I picked up my son and turned to go to our room. Just as I stepped into the living room, I overheard Veronica and Santiago talking. My love, if you hadn't taken Gabriella's place in time, I don't know how I would have survived. Veronica's voice was soft and tender. As long as I'm here, you'll never be alone. I'll stay with you, always. I even convinced Mom, otherwise, she'd never have agreed to let me impersonate Gabriella. My fingernails dug deep into my palms, blood dripping down my fists. So Santiago and Veronica had been involved all along. Even my mother-in-law was in on it. Their relationship had started far earlier than I thought, and I had been completely in the dark, just a fool to them. Looking at my sleeping son, I told myself silently, just a little longer. Soon, we'll be out of this toxic place. Sure enough, the next day, I received the transfer notice from the A-City branch. I could report in at any time. I immediately began packing to leave, but just as I reached the front door, I ran into Veronica, her face dark with rage. Her eyes were locked on the plane ticket in my hand. Her voice was cold as ice. Luis, where do you think you're going? Chapter 4. I instinctively shoved the plane ticket into my pocket and moved Oliver behind me. This is none of your business, Gabriella. I deliberately emphasized the name. Veronica's expression froze for a split second, but she quickly switched to a gentle tone. Brother-in-law, don't be so angry. If you stay, I can help take care of Oliver. I stared at her coldly. No need. From this moment on, my son and I have nothing to do with the Lin family. With that, I grabbed Oliver's hand and turned to leave. Veronica suddenly rushed forward, snatched my briefcase, and rifled through it, pulling out the plane ticket. Without saying a word, she tore it to shreds and looked down on me as she spoke. Brother-in-law, I'm doing this for your own good. You're going to a city, completely unfamiliar with the place, and raising a kid alone. It's better if you stay. At least here, you'll have some support. Watching the fragments of the ticket drift to the floor, rage surged through me. I shoved her away. Don't pretend to be some kind of saint. If you really think I'm your brother-in-law, then stay the hell away from me. Veronica didn't back off. Instead, she stepped closer, her gaze turning icy. You better think this through. Our family's been supporting you for years, and now you think you can just pack up and leave. It's not that easy. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. In my past life, I had knelt in a hospital begging her to save our son. She turned a blind eye. But now, when I try to walk away, they're all so eager to stop me. What are you to me? Are you even my wife? My son and I will go wherever we damn well please. You don't get to order us around. She frowned, then abruptly changed her tone to something more gentle. Brother-in-law, are you leaving in such a hurry because you misunderstood me somehow? Even if my sister is gone, we're still family, aren't we? Before she could finish, I slapped her hard across the face. The sound echoed. Veronica stumbled back, and her face twisted into something monstrous. You hit me. You're not leaving this house today, either of you. She grabbed my wrist with both hands, trying to drag me back into the room. I struggled with everything I had. Just then, a commotion erupted outside the house, and the front door burst open. When she saw who it was, all the color drained from Veronica's face. Chapter 5. Santiago stood at the door, with several colleagues from the company behind him. His eyes darkened as he caught sight of Veronica gripping my wrist. Gabriela, what are you doing? The others looked stunned, whispering among themselves. Isn't that the brother-in-law and the sister-in-law? What's going on between them? Unbelievable, Veronica's body isn't even cold yet, and those two are already hooking up. The moment Veronica saw Santiago, panic overtook her. She quickly let go of me and rushed to his side to explain. Honey, you've got it all wrong. He's the one harassing me. She pointed at me, her face full of righteous anger. He keeps insisting I'm Veronica and begging me to take her place. He says he can't survive without a woman. My heart sank. That accusatory tone, it was exactly the same as in my past life. She looked at me with disgust and clung tightly to Santiago's arm. Santiago's expression darkened instantly. He pointed at me and shouted, Luis, you scumbag, my sister just died, and you're already going after my wife, you shameless bastard. Before I could say a word, he charged at me, raising his fist. I'm going to tear that disgusting face off your skull so you can't seduce my wife anymore. People around us began murmuring. Not a single soul stepped up to defend me. So he had his eyes on the sister-in-law all along. Disgusting. No wonder some men turn into perverts the moment they lose their wives. She isn't even buried yet and he's already acting dirty. Who knows what filth he's been up to behind our backs. Luis always played the devoted husband, but he's no better than an animal. Even went after his wife's sister. He's scum. I dodged Santiago's fist and tried to explain. Please, listen to me, it's not like that. It's Veronica. Before I could finish, Veronica cut me off. She pointed to the red slap mark on her face. Tears streaming down. He hit me, just because I turned down his disgusting demands. Now everyone looked at me with pure contempt, their eyes filled with fury. Santiago punched me in the face. Come on, everyone, look at this animal. Luis, this monster lost his wife and now he's trying to steal mine. He sounded so convincing, like I really was some vile predator. Then Oliver ran out, pushing Santiago away and shielding me with his small body. It's not true. Auntie's the one who wouldn't let us leave. Daddy didn't do anything. Veronica sneered coldly, glaring at me with disdain. Wow, Luis, you're really something. Now you're coaching your son to lie for you. What's next? Are you going to make him start calling me Mom? Oliver burst into tears. You're not my mom. My mom is already dead. I held Oliver close and said in a low, icy voice, I want nothing more to do with any of you. Get out of my way. But Santiago wouldn't let it go. He came at me again, fists raised, trying to touch my wife and then run off. Not a chance. You owe me an explanation. I stepped back, but then Veronica suddenly screamed and collapsed to the floor. Honey, help me, he's trying to kill me. She clutched her chest and shrieked. Suddenly, a figure stormed in from outside. It was my mother-in-law. Her usual mean expression was now twisted with rage, making her look even more terrifying. You jinx, killing one of my daughters wasn't enough, now you want to murder the other. Get out of here right now, and don't even think about taking a single cent with you. She grabbed my bag, dumped everything onto the floor, Veronica stood off to the side, pretending to hesitate. Documents scattered across the ground. My mother-in-law, sharp-eyed, snatched a stack of papers, and her face immediately changed. Well, no wonder you were acting so high and mighty. You've been hiding all these insurance documents. This money belongs to my daughter. Why the hell should a murderer like you get it? She clutched the insurance files like treasure, stuffing them into her clothes with greed in her eyes. I immediately stepped forward to stop her. That's the accidental death compensation the company gave me and my son. You already claimed one payout. What gives you the right to take this too? When Veronica died, my mother-in-law had rushed to the insurance company and claimed a portion of the money, but she didn't know there was another one left. She shoved me hard and screamed, her voice shrill, "Your payout. I'm her mother. This money belongs to me. What kind of idiot company would ever give it to someone like you?" I clenched my teeth and stared at the documents, mind racing, trying to figure out how to take them back. Just then, a crowd burst through the doorway, and a deep, commanding voice rang out. This compensation was issued according to company policy. Is there a problem with that? Chapter 6. It was President Gene from Veronica's company. He walked in with several security guards, his expression dark and heavy as he took in the chaotic scene. The accidental death compensation was issued by the company according to policy. It belongs to Luis and his son. No one else has the right to seize it, he declared sternly. The guards, tall and imposing, stood by the door. The entire room instantly fell silent. Veronica, spotting President Gene, quickly switched to a pitiful expression and walked over in small, hesitant steps. "President Gene, Luis deceived you," she said softly. My mother-in-law dropped to her knees, bawling, "President Gene, you must help us get justice. This monster not only cursed my daughter to death, now he wants to take advantage of my other daughter. He's not even human." Santiago wiped away a fake tear, sniffling miserably. "President Gene, Luis tried to steal my wife and even threatened me. How can someone like him deserve compensation?" The scene dissolved into chaos, everyone yelling accusations over one another. President Gene simply glanced at them with cold disdain and said firmly, "Luis was Veronica's husband. The compensation is rightfully his to handle. Besides, Luis has already applied for a transfer to the A-City branch. Why would he be clinging to Gabriela?" Veronica froze, panic flickering in her eyes as she stammered, "He must be doing this on purpose, trying to use it as leverage to force me." President Gene cut her off sharply. "Nonsense. Your twisted thoughts are absolutely disgraceful." Seizing the moment, I spoke up, choking back my emotions. "President Gene, I never wanted to bother anyone. All I want is to start over with my son, but they slandered me, tried to steal from me. How heartless can they be?" President Jin's face grew even darker. "I came here today specifically to check in on you, and personally take you to a city for your new position. Gabriela, falsely accusing your late sister's husband, can you even face her memory after this?" Veronica had no response. She bit her lip and lowered her head in silence. Seeing things turn against her, my mother-in-law gave up on the money. She shoved me viciously and snarled, "Get out. The farther you go, the better. Stop cursing my daughters." I gathered the documents and other items, then took Oliver's hand and walked to President Jin's side, under my mother-in-law's venomous gaze. Veronica stared coldly at us. "Luis, you'd better think carefully. Once you leave, don't ever think about coming back." I didn't even look back as I stepped into the car. The vehicle pulled away quickly, leaving that toxic house behind, heading straight for a city. President Gene had arranged a position for me as a manager in the investment department, right in line with my expertise. "You can settle down here. If you run into any problems, don't hesitate to come find me," he said warmly. I thanked him sincerely. Sitting in the bright, spacious office, I finally felt like I could breathe again. Oliver and I spent half a month adjusting to life in a city. Slowly, we adapted to the new rhythm. Our co-workers were kind and supportive after learning what we'd been through. Some even offered to introduce me to someone new, but I politely declined. At a business banquet, I unexpectedly ran into an old university classmate, Jessica. She was now a deputy director at a fund management company. Jessica had recently moved to a city as well. Reuniting with her brought back memories of our carefree college days. I couldn't help but regret how I'd been deceived by Veronica's facade for so many years, having given my heart to the wrong person. Just as I thought our new life had finally begun, Oliver suddenly came down with a high fever. At the hospital, I ran into Veronica again. I had just finished giving Oliver his medicine, while Jessica was helping me take care of him. As I stepped out of the hospital room, a cold, venomous voice came from behind me. "Luis, who is this woman?" Veronica and Santiago stood side by side, their eyes fixed on Jessica and me, full of menace. Chapter 7. I didn't want to respond. I grabbed Jessica's hand and started to leave, but Veronica quickly caught up and grabbed my arm. "Luis, I asked you a question." I turned back and shook her off with disgust, speaking coldly. "Gabriela, who are you to question me?" Veronica instinctively glanced at Santiago. You're my brother-in-law. Of course I have the right to ask. My sister hasn't been gone that long, and you're already messing around with another woman. Do you have no shame? I didn't bother listening to her hypocritical preaching and turned to leave, but Veronica stepped in front of Jessica, looking down on her condescendingly. Do you even know what kind of man he is? He's got a burden of a child, his wife just died, and he's already out chasing women. I'm his sister-in-law, we look exactly alike. If he's into you now, maybe it's because you remind him of me. Before she could finish, Jessica interrupted her coldly. He's your brother-in-law, and that's how you talk to him. You clearly have no manners. Luis and I were college classmates. I know exactly what kind of person he is. I don't need you dictating anything. Veronica's face darkened, her tone turning vicious. Oh, I see. Old flames. No wonder you're defending him. Were you two involved even before he married my sister? Luis, were you fooling around with her even before you married my sister? I couldn't take it anymore. I stepped forward and slapped Veronica across the face, sneering. You think I was fooling around? My relationship with your sister is none of your damn business. Who the hell do you think you are? Just yesterday, Veronica came to me in a dream. She told me she regretted everything and wanted me to move on with a better woman. She said you were nothing but an ungrateful traitor, and that I should stay far away from your entire family. Veronica blurted out. That's impossible. That's all made up. Her face turned pale with rage, but since I invoked her dead sister's name and began every sentence with Veronica said, she couldn't refute a thing. Santiago stood off to the side, glaring at her with discontent, then shot a venomous look at me. He wrapped his arm around her and said, let's go. Honey, the doctor said you need rest. Don't waste your energy on this kind of trash. Then he deliberately placed a hand on Veronica's lower belly. Mom's still waiting to be a grandmother. Veronica froze, wanting to say more, but Santiago dragged her away. After they left, Jessica frowned and asked me, that sister-in-law of yours seems like real trouble. You'd better stay far away from her. I gave her a faint smile and thanked her for the warning. But I hadn't expected things to be far from over. A few days later, as I got off work and entered the underground parking garage, I ran into someone familiar. It was Veronica. She grabbed my wrist tightly and lowered her voice. I've had time to think. I forgive you for your outbursts before. Come home. I'll talk to Mom for you. Don't be so stubborn. I almost laughed out loud, then looked at her with a cold stare. When did I ever say I was going back? I just want you all gone from my life. For good. Veronica frowned in frustration, staring hard at me for a few seconds, then her tone suddenly changed. Luis, you must have figured it out by now. I'm Veronica. Gabriella's the one who died. You're probably angry that I kept it from you while I looked after Santiago. But his health is fragile. I had no choice. But I've always loved you. Come back with me. Let's start over. Raise Oliver together. Chapter 8. If this had been before, I might have been overjoyed that Veronica had finally admitted who she was, and followed her home without hesitation. But after personally witnessing her intimate entanglement with Santiago, all I felt now was bitter amusement. I yanked my arm out of her grasp, my face full of mockery. My wife is already dead. What are you pretending for? You think this act is enough to fool me? Veronica held out her left arm. Look, this birthmark is proof. I cut her off immediately. So what? Twins often share similar birthmarks. She grew more flustered and tried to drag me with her by force. I struggled hard, then caught her off guard and shoved her away, sprinting toward the parking garage exit. She chased after me in a fury, grabbing my arm again, just as a pair of blinding headlights lit up the scene. A group of security guards rushed over and swiftly restrained Veronica, holding her down with professional efficiency. It turned out that the surveillance system had flagged suspicious activity, and the security team had responded immediately. They called the police right away, and one of them asked me with concern, Mr. Luis, are you all right? Before I could answer, Veronica started screaming hysterically. What are you doing? Let me go. Do you know who I am? You think I won't get all of you fired? One of the guards shot her a cold glance. You're the one acting suspicious. You should worry more about your own situation. The surrounding staff and bystanders all looked at her with contempt. Someone spat and muttered, she looks just like our former GM Veronica, but who knew she'd turn out to be such a wolf in sheep's clothing? Veronica's face flushed with anger. She glared at me hatefully. Luis, did you set this up? You knew I'd come here. You were waiting for me. I didn't even bother responding. Whether it was a setup or not, let's wait for the police to decide. When the police arrived, Veronica's arrogance instantly collapsed. She tried to explain in a pitiful voice. I only came because I care about my brother-in-law. He's raising a kid on his own. It's hard. I was just trying to help. I just wanted to take care of them. And now he's slandering me. The officer's face remained blank. Mr. Luis has already declared that he severed all ties with your family. Yet you ambushed him in a parking garage. What exactly are your intentions? Gabriella, your actions constitute a criminal offense. You'll have to face legal consequences. Veronica had already lost her status as a general manager. If criminal charges followed, she'd likely lose her current job as well. She panicked and blurted out, "I'm Veronica. You can't arrest me." Everyone froze in place, then burst into laughter. "You've lost your mind. President Lin is dead and you're impersonating her." Veronica Lin screamed, her voice shrill and desperate. "I am Veronica. I'm not dead." "Luis, you know it. Tell them, I'm Veronica. I'm your wife." Everyone turned toward me, waiting for my response. I calmly said, "You're Gabriela. My wife passed away. You were the one who personally delivered her ashes to the crematorium." Veronica stared at me in disbelief. "How could you not recognize me? I am Veronica. Gabriela's the one who died." Hearing that only made my heart sink deeper. So she had known everything all along. Yet she had willingly chosen to live as a stranger, watching me grieve, watching me become a widower. I said coldly, "Exactly. How could I not recognize my own wife?" "But you're not her. No matter how similar you look, you're not the same person. Veronica is already resting in peace. Why are you still using her name to commit such cruelty?" No one believed her. Someone sneered, "If you were really Veronica, why did you give up your position and pretend to be your sister? Looks like she's trying to impersonate her to dodge punishment." Veronica trembled with rage. Then suddenly, her eyes lit up. "I have witnesses. Santiago and my mom, they know I'm Veronica." Chapter 9. The police summoned Santiago and my mother-in-law separately to take statements. Veronica looked smug and shot me a provocative glance. "Luis, just you wait. As soon as I reclaim my identity, the first thing I'll do is sue you for defamation." I didn't respond. I simply waited quietly for the outcome. A few minutes later, Santiago was the first to emerge. He rushed over to Veronica and wrapped his arms around her. "Honey, are you okay?" Veronica shoved him away hard. "Who are you calling honey? I'm Veronica, not your wife." A flicker of panic crossed Santiago's face. "Darling, what are you saying? I just spent the last half hour convincing the police that we're legally married." Veronica froze, as if struck by lightning. My mother-in-law came over as well, whispering mysteriously to Veronica, "Don't worry, sweetie. I smoothed everything over. They won't suspect a thing about you pretending to be Gabriela." I gave a cold chuckle. Veronica thought bringing in witnesses would prove her innocence. She had no idea Santiago and her mother were already lying for her, thinking they were doing her a favor. At last, the officer came out with a stern face and said, "Gabriela, you are suspected of unlawful detention and fraud. These are criminal offenses, and you will be held accountable. As for your current job, that depends on how your company handles it." But everyone knew there was no saving her job. Veronica lost it. She screamed at them, "Why did you lie? Why didn't you tell the truth?" Santiago looked genuinely startled and protested. "What do you mean? I'm your legal husband. Are you still thinking about him?" I didn't even glance at Santiago. I finally turned to Veronica, speaking slowly. "Even if you pretend to be Veronica, it's useless. Her position has already been cancelled. The company appointed a new general manager long ago. In truth, after Veronica faked her death, someone quickly filled her position." She looked utterly shattered, then glared at me hysterically. "Was it you? Did you sabotage me? What gave you the right to revoke my title?" I sighed lightly and shook my head. "Little sister-in-law, just go home and live your life. Stop deluding yourself." As Veronica was taken away, she continued screaming that she was Veronica, and that no one had the right to treat her this way. Jessica comforted me afterward, promising that security would be increased and incidents like this wouldn't happen again. For the next few months, I didn't hear anything about Veronica, until one day, 3 months later, she suddenly barged into my office. "Honey, please, come home with me. I'm begging you." I was just about to lose my temper when Oliver ran in from outside and shoved her hard. "Go away. Bad woman, stop bothering my dad." My mother-in-law appeared in the doorway. She had clearly come to try to persuade me to come back, but at this moment, her face twisted in anger. "You two ungrateful wretches. Who needs you anyway? Let's go, sweetie. There are plenty of good men out there. Mommy will find you a better one." In the end, security escorted them out. Afterward, I began to pay attention to Veronica's situation. I learned that after being fired, she couldn't find another decent job. The family quickly sank into financial ruin. Later, I heard that Santiago died in a drunk driving accident. After his death, Veronica spiraled, drinking heavily and arguing constantly with her mother. One day, during one of their usual fights, things escalated. The two began physically fighting. Her elderly mother couldn't take the struggle. She fell, hit her head, and died on the spot. Veronica hadn't meant for it to happen. Terrified by the sudden death, she was completely shaken. One blow after another pushed her over the edge. She began roaming around claiming she was Veronica, that Santiago had never been her husband. Not long after, she jumped from a building on a rainy night. People said she had completely lost her mind. After that, no one ever spoke of that family again. People only said they had reaped what they sowed. As for me, I was selected for an overseas assignment and took Oliver with me, far across the ocean. I never looked back on those dark memories again. A better life was waiting for us, just ahead.